And welcome into week 5 of our Delaware Live Sports Pigskin Picks powered by 302. And man, it's the Harvest Bowl. We got to have Twitter Phil. Uh,
I'm
t-
I'm here. It's been
welcome
the
aboard. And
Thank you,
a big
fellas.
pick
How
for
you
you
doing?
on later on tonight. But Trey, we're going to get started week 5. That means we're halfway through the season. And let's start off a Thursday night game. Obviously, the game will be played by the time this is broadcasted. 3-1 Woodbridge at 2-2 Laurel.
Yeah, Woodbridge is coming in off a tough loss to Central, while Laurel's coming off a bye week. Both these teams played Central tough until the fourth quarter. These two teams are comparable, but Woodbridge showed they could throw the ball down the field last week. I think it's going to be tough going into Laurel, but I think Woodbridge may be able to throw and run. I like Woodbridge here.
Phil, both these teams played Sussex Central tough for 3 quarters. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Woodbridge. I love Coach Jones down there in Laurel, but Woodbridge's defense is just back to being the normal, hard hitting, dually defense. I think 14 points that they gave up from Howard. One was like a 99-yard touchdown. The other one was a fumble on a field goal. So, I mean, defensive wise, take that 99-yard out. They were dominating Howard for most of that game. I think Laurel's just going to be a little bit too one dimensional for Woodbridge's defense.
Okay, sources tell me Tate Walls is out right now with an injury. If that's true, that's a huge loss for the Bulldogs. But I guess we'll see Thursday night if my sources are correct. But
That boy can't catch a break.
Laurel has always been next man up. Each year they graduate all state players, and the next fall they plug in new ones. Woodbridge defense is aggressive, and they like to play in opponents' backfields. But the Blue Raiders, they're suffering from fumbleitis the past 2 weeks. 12 turnovers in 2 games. They have to fix that before they go into Laurel on a short week. I'm taking Woodbridge in a close game. Let's go to Friday night, St. Elizabeth's at Milford. The Vikings are 2-2. The Bucks 3-1. Trey, who do you have here?
Yeah, St. A's is playing up in class here against a young but bigger Milford team. It's homecoming for the Bucks. I mean, it's going to be a big crowd for a team that's having a good season thus far. I think the Milford Bucks keep it winning, and they get the win at home on homecoming.
Phil Jed Bell home for homecoming for the last time. Maybe. We said that before. Uh, but he's moved to principal, so he won't be coaching next year. So this will be his last homecoming. Who do you have in this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Milford. Homecoming, long drive for the St. E's boys coming out of Wilmington. This is Milford.
Both these teams are coming into this game big wins over winless opponents. So it makes this matchup a little tougher to predict. But when we look at big, I think of Milford's fullback Greg Lockett. Homecoming for the Bucks. I think Milford would just be too much for the Vikings Friday night. Friday night, 7:30 kickoff. Wilmington Friends at Howard. Wilmington Friends 2-2. Howard 1-3. Kind of a tough game to pick here. Trey, who do you have in this upstate game?
Yeah, both teams are coming off big wins. Howard has played a really tough schedule, so that 1-3 record does not indicate how good they are. Friends has been slow starting this year with a loss to Single A Tatnall and then a big 31-13 loss down in Delmar. This is a district game, so a win here could erase the rough start both are having. I've been back and forth on this one, but I think I'll take Howard at home. I think that like that tough schedule is going to help them here in this second half of the season. I'm going to go Howard at home.
So Howard beat a really good Lake Forest team. They played Woodbridge tough. Now they got the disciplined Friends team coming in. Who do you have here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Howard. They obviously have to stop over their turnover issues that they've had in the last couple of weeks. It seems like I think he's a freshman quarterback,
Mhm.
is getting some reps, getting some experience. Just looking at their schedule, Hodson, Caravel, Lake, Woodbridge. I mean, they've been tested every single week. This kid was thrown right into the fire with Desai going down to Appo. I think this is going to be a Howard win.
Yeah, the Quakers and the Wildcats, they're going to meet halfway at Abyssinia Stadium for this intercity battle. Howard got in the win column last Thursday over a good Lake Forest team. I always like to talk about Friends football because it's anytime I get to say Alapocas. With that being said, I think the guys from Alapocas get the win. Wilmington Friends is going to pull the upset here and go 1-0 in the city. Big game down in Lewis at the beach. 3-1 St. Mark's, number 6 ranked. Cape Henlopen 3-1 just fell out of the rankings with their loss last week. Homecoming for Cape Henlopen, Trey. Who you got?
Yeah, homecoming for Cape. And they do it big on homecoming night. They'll have the parade down Savannah Road, and they'll probably have a full home section of their bleachers. St. Mark's has grinded out some tough wins this season over Red Lion and St. George's. And this is an inter-district game, but the winner can find themselves in better position on the bracket come state tournament time. I like Cape at home on homecoming. I like them bouncing back from last week. They both have a common opponent, Red Lion. They both won close games. I think Cape's defense steps up here and they get it done at homecoming.
Bill, we might be looking back in mid-November at this game. Who do you have?
Yeah, I'm looking at my paper. There's scribbles everywhere. I had St. Mark's, then I had Cape, then I had St. Mark's, then I had Cape. I think the long day for St. Mark's and the size and depth for Cape is going to be a Cape victory. I mean, I'm looking at the roster. They have 81 kids listed on varsity. That's just, I mean, and most of they're big, and they got the quarterback coming back from last year, and I think this is going to be a Cape win, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. We have a common opponent here in Red Lion. Cape Henlopen took a 14-0 lead at the half, and then had to hold off the Lions as they came back. Cape won that game 2013. St. Mark's, they trailed at the half, but a 21-point third quarter, and the Spartans surged past Red Lion for a 36-34 victory. So that means we're talking second half football. I think a raucous homecoming crowd will make it this weekend. A trip to the beach at the folks from White Creek won't be a vacation. It's going to be a whiteout for the Cape Henlopen team. They'll be wearing all white, the fans in white. Cape Henlopen, they're going to hold off a late Spartan push, and they're going to get an all-important win before the Golden Knights come to town next week. Double A game, Saturday, 11 o'clock, 2-2 DMA versus 3-1 Archmere. Trey, who do you have?
Yeah, DMA, they had a much needed bye last week after back-to-back games with 3A opponents, Smyrna and Central. They should be rested up and ready to move forward. Archmere took one on the chin last Saturday following the Caravel 42-6. This could be a huge win for DMA in this cross-district game. But Archmere did have a big win, 27-21 over 3A St. Mark's in week 2. I think Archmere will respond being the home team here. They'll respond at home after last week. I like Archmere.
Phil, I expected Archmere to lose the Caravel, but not like they did. Who do you have this week?
Yeah, I agree with Trey. I think it's going to be Archmere based off of just getting kicked in the teeth by Caravel last week, which I thought Caravel would win. I didn't, like you said, I didn't think they're going to win like that. It's a home game, but I saw DMA a couple weeks ago down at Smyrna, and they have another stud running back. He's a freshman. His name is Isaiah Muhammad. That kid can go. He's strong. He's fast. I don't think it'll be enough to be Archmere. Unfortunately for DMA, as recent years have shown, hopefully this kid doesn't end up being the next feature back for Caravel and Sally's like all the
Right.
DMA running backs seem to be. But I think I got to go Archmere here.
I think the Hawks will respond from that loss to Caravel last week and get a win here. Archmere, they're going to move to 4-1. And the first of our 2 downstate games of the week, we'll have this game on Saturday, myself and Glenn Frazier. It's 3-1 Sussex Tech headed to 2-3 Lake Forest. It's a Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff. Trey, downstate game. Who wins this?
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Ravens try to slow this game down with their wing T and try to keep the Spartans off the field. Kyle Thompson has 725 rushing yards this season with 12 touchdowns. It's going to be another big game. Lake Forest has lost their last 3 games by a total of 9 points. Now they start the 2A District 3 part of the schedule. Sussex Tech suffered their first loss Friday as Odessa came from behind to win in overtime. Lake Forest had a comeback win over Odessa in week 0. It's homecoming Saturday at Lakeland. They have a common opponent in Odessa, and I like Lake in Lakeland on homecoming Saturday.
Phil, the start of District 3 and Class 2A, the old Henny South.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lake here. I mean, Lake could be winless or they could be undefeated. I mean, that's how every game has gone for them so far. 11 o'clock is early on Saturday. I know it feels early for kids. At the early game at Lake homecoming, I think Lake gets this one done.
We get a really good look at these teams from their Odessa games you both mentioned. Lake Forest came from behind. Sussex Tech dropped an early 18-0 lead. Like Trey said, there are 3 losses by a mere 9 points. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I'm sure Freddie Johnson's head is spinning too. I can't see Lake Forest dropping four in a row. I think the Spartans defense will be the difference in this game. Lake Forest, they're going to win a game. They're going to win, but it's going to be a thriller on homecoming. And the one, all you've been waiting for, Phil's pick will be coming up. Trey, it's 1-3 Smyrna, headed to 3-1 Middletown for the Harvest Bowl.
Yeah, Smyrna jumped out in front of Appo last week, 12-0, early, and but then they watched that slip away, and they're probably the best 1-3 team around, with their losses coming to Downingtown, Sally's, and Appo. It doesn't get any easier this week as they head to Middletown for the Harvest Bowl. The Cavaliers will be well rested coming off their bye week. Middletown has owned the Harvest Bowl in recent years. Um, I'm going to go with Middletown again to win the Harvest Bowl here. I think they probably still have a bad taste in their mouth from that Central loss a few weeks ago. I'm going to go Middletown.
Phil, do I need a drum roll?
Yeah, I mean we're heading up to the jungle. Still to this day, I'll never understand why they call it a jungle. I mean, it's attached to a middle school. It's next to a retirement home, and they have a Three Musketeer as a mascot. So I don't understand what this jungle thing is, But I'm looking at how young Smyrna is this year. I mean, I don't think I can ever remember a roster being this young. I looked it up. They have one returning starter on the offensive line. They have a backfield that has a sophomore quarterback, two sophomore running backs, one sophomore receiver, two junior receivers, and one senior. And they have three returning starters on the defense. And, they only play 11 and 11. It's not
Right.
like, we have a lot of kids going both ways. But, I don't think it's much needed here. I see my Eagles going up, and they're going to upset the tri.
Nick Alessandrini and Glenn Frazier will have the call here on Delaware Live. Smyrna usually waits until the playoffs to beat Middletown. The Cavs retain the Harvest Bowl trophy for another year. I think Middletown wins this game. So let's move to our Friday night downstate game of the week, and this has the makings of a good one. This has the recipe, folks. 4-0 Appo 4-0 Sussex Central. Friday night kickoff in the Castle. Trey, who do you have?
Yeah, the Golden Knights had 3 losses last year. They avenged that Middletown loss, and next up is Appo, who came from behind to win 31-30 during the regular season before Central did win the playoff game between them. Drummond has been special at quarterback this year for Appo, and if there's a kink in the Knights' armor, it's their pass defense. Both Woodbridge touchdowns came in the passing game last week, so I expect the Jaguars are going to throw the ball a lot. But this game is in the Castle. I feel about picking against the Knights in the Castle. I think Central being at home, I think their defense believing in themselves, their defense will make the play they need to. The offense will control the ball and get the end zone. I'm going to go on Sussex Central.
Phil, Appo likes to throw the ball.
Yeah,
Woodbridge scored 2 passing touchdowns last week.
yeah,
Middletown put points on the board in the passing game. Who wins this?
yeah. At first I was leaning Sussex Central because it's home. But then I looked a little bit, like you said, 2 touchdowns passing with Woodbridge. Middletown, I think, had 4 touchdowns. Sussex Central won the game late, but I think Middletown lost that game. They had a decent sized lead. They had a bunch of bonehead penalties just at the end, and just clock management really wasn't there. Appo can throw the ball. Now, Appo also had a lot of bonehead penalties last week versus Smyrna. You can't do that against Sussex Central because if you give them any free first downs, you just lost 5 minutes off the clock.
Right.
But I think because of the pass defense and, like Trey said, Appo's pass offense, I think Appo wins this one.
So downstate game of the week, myself and Jim Tack will have the call. Ground and pound versus Air Appo. That's how I'm calling this one.
New school and old school.
This one is an interesting matchup in a lot of ways. Coach Timpson and Coach Wells are not only rivals in football, but they get after them in the spring as 2 of the state's top softball programs.
Yep.
The Jaguars decide Drummond is going to be a handful for the Knights. They're going to have to get feet around him, and they're going to have to make him uncomfortable. And I think they're going to have to knock him down a few times. Malik Bell leads that Central running attack along with Will Harmon and Jawan Sturgis. Last week, I said in our keys to the game, I said Woodbridge has to silence the bell. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
Maybe make the bell ring not so loud.
Yeah.
Bell has rushed for 708 yards in 4 games on a team that rarely has a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
This game will be played on grass, which may slow down Appo. We had the rain over the weekend. May slow down his Appo receivers. Look, week 1, I picked against the Knights. I had Middletown coming in and winning. Appo's in Middletown. the game's in the castle. Not this time. Sussex Central wins this one in another exciting game on
That
302.
rushing attack is just nasty. I feel like Malik Bell's been there for 15 years. I mean, I feel like this kid's been doing it since seventh grade, if that's possible. I mean,
Yeah, he's just he's a
he's amazing.
grind
Yeah.
it out type
Yep.
of guy. So Phil, obviously Middletown Smyrna will be your game this week, but if you had to choose another one, what game is big to you?
It's got to be Appo Sussex Central. Um, and the reason for me is I feel for Smyrna, it's a must lose for Sussex Central
Right.
more than it's a must win for Appo. Uh, Once we get through Middletown, our side of the district hasn't really been strong. Dover struggling. Don't really know what Cape is right now because they had the 3 2A teams.
Mm-hmm.
St. George's is usually right there, right in the middle. Caesar Rodney's much better in these last year and a half with Strickland at head coach. I think it's going to come down to Sussex Central and Smyrna for that district championship. I think this is a big game where we need Sussex Central to lose to help get that title for the playoff berth.
And that'll be a week 10 game, big time game. Trey, what game has your eyes?
There's two of them kind of stick out to me. The Laurel Woodbridge game I think will be a good hard fought 4 quarters. But the one that really sticks out to me is St. Mark's Cape. I think that's going to have some important playoff implications down the road. I think they're both playoff contenders, and winning that game could really make a difference in what your playoff run looks like. So St. Mark's and Cape really sticks out to me.
Yeah, I think St. Mark's Cape, because that could potentially be the way things are lining, the way the stars are lining up right now. That could be for anywhere between five seed and 7 seed, and you don't want to be 7, 8. The other game I'd like to look at is while Sussex Tech is 3-1, this is the point of the season last year. They were 3-0 last year and then finished 1-6 to wind out the season. Lake Forest is 2-3. This is a must-win game for both teams.
Yep.
I think Sussex Tech, they have to win this to get the confidence to win a couple more games. And let's face it, it's the Henlopen South, which is tough. Lake Forest backs against the wall for the next five weeks. With those 3 losses. Like I said, you said, Phil, they could be winless or undefeated, and they probably really should be 5-0 right now.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
ball just has not bounced their way this year. Trey, you've done homecoming games with me at Lake Forest before. Place is going to be packed. I just think 11 a.m. is kind of hard to get kids going, but when you're excited and the crowd's full, Lake Forest kids are going to be excited for that game. So I think that's going to be a big one. So, Phil, appreciate you coming in. Even brought you in. I even took the chance of bringing you in on Smyrna Middletown week. Nobody would ever expect me to do that.
I appreciate it. I'll be there in disguise.
Be there with your Batman mask on, right?
Yeah. I'll get
So
a
that's
loose
up
door, man.
for us for week 5. For Trey, Mitchell, and Phil, Twitter, Phil, his surname. I'm Benny Mitchell. See you guys at kickoff.
Thanks, fellas.